Welcome to Jack Tar's Journeys. In this video I'm going to show how I built this fence behind me. Just a small garden fence, palings. I've got a couple of doors on it so my granddaughter can get into her fairy garden. I've just done a video on the fairy garden, so I'll put a link up here somewhere. Yeah, let's go and have a look how we've done it. See you there. So here we are on a bit of a windy day. I'm just gonna I've just knocked the stakes in for the fence, which I'm going to turn you around and show you now. So here's the stakes. I've painted them. You'll notice I haven't painted the top. I haven't painted the top because it's got to be cut down, and then I'll paint the top when I finish. So I've put them in, knocked them all in around the fairy garden and all that. And what I've also done is I've painted all the timber before I cut it into the palings, because I just think it's easier to paint a full long length than it is to paint a load of little small ones. So that's all painted, ready to go on. The other thing I've done, I'm going to have a bit of a bow fronted bit on here. So what I've done, as you can see there, I've cut two bits of timber and they're going to go across like that. Let's put it on there a minute. It won't go on there, but basically they're going to fix as the rails, one on there and one down there, down the bottom there. Then I'll nail the palings to that before I fix it. Also ripped down, these were bearers, use them for bearers. I've literally ripped some of that down, and that's going to be a gravel board which will go level along there like that, and that'll contain all the earth that I have in there. But yeah, I'm trying to have it so that I've got a bow front on that, just that bit there. So from here, bow fronted round to there, just a small bow front. That'll be straight, that'll be straight across here, straight over to there. Fill that with water and put the solar driven pumps in, which I've got on the table here. They work quite good, to be honest with you. You just put them in, I weigh it down with an old bit of electric socket that was kicking around, and then that just sits there pumping away. They're quite good. And all that was made with some scrap 2x2, a little bit of plastic around the top, and then a bit of visqueen or polythene inside it to hold the water. We tipped it over like that because we empty it every year and then we refill it. I've also got on there, you can't see it, but that's a solar pump, and what it does is just blow air bubbles in there. So we've got one of these diffuser stones, and it just sends bubbles up every now and again. So that's where we are. My missus has got the dahlias to plant and all that, yeah. But yeah, let's get this fence sorted out. Like I said, I'm going to cut these down to whatever I need. I don't need it too high, but also the garden falls slightly from over there. It falls down like that, so it may well be I bring that up and then take that level across, so we'll have a 5 or 6 inch gravel board at this end to a 3 inch up that end maybe, or I'll come through here, have this all level, so level all the way around here, down there and down there, and then I might step that up from there to that one, so it might raise ever so slightly, just because I don't want to be putting loads of boards all over the place. I don't want to run it downhill. I'd rather it was level. I run it downhill last time. I never liked it. So we're nearly there with the fairy garden, the fence. We said next time I'll cut all these and then put the top on. I think we're going for a pointy top on it. And they're only going to be about, I don't know, 15-18 inches high, something like that. Hasn't going to be too much. Literally just so it borderises that, I suppose. Right, let's crack on with the next bit. I'm going to go and plane them to, well, no, sand them ever so slightly, sand the round a bit, and then I'll paint all that and all them baseboards. I'll go and paint it with 2 coats of the blue, which yeah, the Ronseal. Right, hang on. So I've given it all a couple of coats of paint now. Yeah, there's a couple of coats of paint. It's ready to go. I've just got to cut all the fencing, all the palings, and then stick it all on. But not today. These were literally just bearers that we had at work. What stuff gets delivered on, and that's what they looked like when they were whole. And all I've done was stuck them through the bench saw to get 2 pieces out of it. These are going to be the board that keeps everything in. So these are going to be the gravel board down the bottom. Obviously these 2 pieces for that front bow, like I showed, and these are just the rails. They're only thin, they're only small, but I haven't got very big spans, so I think they'll be fine. So these are the 2 rails for my little small fence. I've cut the palings, basically just cut a 45 on the top on each side. Now what I want to do is get them to be all the same. I want it to be square so I can slot it in and it'll work. So what I've got is a couple of scrap pieces of timber. Put them on my bench, and all I'm going to do is measure up 50 mil. So I want to come up 50 mil to the underside of the bottom rail. So 50 mil up to there, and then the bottom of your paling hangs down like that. So by setting that 50 mil, I can set the rail there, same on that side, and then I measure 260, which is, it's got 2 marks on this one. There's one there and there's one here. That's 260 mil to the top of the other. So it's the top of the top one and the bottom of the bottom one. I'm doing that. Once I've set them on there, I'll fix these 2 bearers on there and just put a line on it. Then I'll put them in place. And all I'll do is when I put these on, I'll pin them on. And that's it. Take it out, sit it in. I'm going to have 2 little cleats on the back of the support posts. Pin them to that. Job done. Right, let's crack on and do this. So what I'll do, square this 50 mil or 2 inches, whichever you use, 2 inches, and then we'll just put a couple of screws in it to hold it there. Any old screws will do, doesn't have to be anything special, and it's only scrap pieces of timber anyway. That's one on top here. That one, change square, and then we'll do the other one with square him and have him 50 mil up, 2 inches. I don't trust the measurements on these squares, so I much prefer to just use my tape measure. Just make sure he's square. We'll put a couple of screws in that one as well. Might help if I go on a square, mightn't it? Sticking one at the top here. Right, now we know that's 50 mil, so all we do is measure the 260, put a line on both sides, and there we go. So across, same on this one. Right. Then all you really need to do then, once that's set, I do have another piece of timber here, I'll mark a line on there and just measure it from this one across. And that way you'll know both ends are in the right place at the same time. Right, so that one there is hanging off the table a bit. I'll tell you what, move this one, push them up just to there. There you go, that's that one. The other one. Really must get this garage cleaned up. You know, when your missus is right and she says you need to get rid of some stuff. Yeah, probably right. Got a lot of stuff kicking around there. Got a lot of lawnmowers I've got to sort out, but I need to get this fence, I need to get this woodwork done first. And then I'll crack on and do that. Right, so what have we got here? We've got 229 mil. 229 mil. That's not bad. Good guess, that. Your palings. So I know that I'm 50 mil up. So if I was to line them up with this, square that up off that. That's where it needs to finish. Just look at the top, that looks alright. Yeah, but what I want to do is hang it over a bit. So I'll just stand one on there. Say half a width of one of them. There you go. And that's when my first one's getting pinned. And obviously, your first one as well, take your square, put it on your bottom rail, and just make sure that that is square. You get that one square, and when you put your spacers in, and you can check every third or fourth one, it should be fine. Should be absolutely fine. Yeah, that's how we're going to do that. Right, I need to get my pin gun set up, so I'll do that and then I'll come back on. What I also knocked up was just a little small template. I don't know if you can quite see that. You might be able to, there, you can see the mark on there. I marked that 50 mil from a square end down, and what I can do with that, sit it against the bottom rail square, pull the paling down to it and then pin it at that. I didn't have anything the right size, so all I've used is 2 pieces of offcut, and that's me spacers for these palings. So basically that's all you do. Put that on there, bring them down to the line, get your pin gun, and pin them on. Like I said, every few just check that they're still square, which is quite good. They may meander off. I mean, this is sawn timber, it's not planed, so yeah, you're going to get a few bits that have got divots and bits on it and that's enough to kick it out. So that's all you need to do. Hold that on again, 50mm. Push them tight to your spaces, and then, oh, there's a knot here. Right here, there's a knot. The other thing is when you get knots, causes you grief. I've hit a knot up here as well as a knot in there. It's shot the nail through. Never have your hand by your nailer. So if it comes out and it's a knot, it'll be right through your finger. And you don't really want that. Not the best look in the world, I don't suppose. Right, so I'll get these in and then we'll go and stick it on the fence. So that's where that little bit of fence is going to go. So the bottom rail along there, I'll be putting another piece down the bottom. So I'll dig that in, be 2 pieces in, it'll come right up underneath there nice and tight. But that's my little picket fence. I'm going to change it a little bit round the fairy garden. I'll make it a little bit different. But overall, that's exactly what we're after really. Just a small picket fence all the way along. Helps to support her flowers when she puts them in. Along here and then just up to the end of there. That's about it really. So yeah, that's what we're after. I'll show you when it's finished. I'm just going to make sure that's exactly what she wants before I make any more panels. So I've finished the little fence and the fairy garden. So a little paling fence I started making. Let's quickly give you a show of that. That's up now. So there's the picket fence all in. All painted. I painted it before I cut it all. I've left a small gap up that far end there so that the hedgehogs can get in. And then at that end I've just stopped it right there so the hedgehogs can get in and out of there. Because we get hedgehogs. I have got to put a latch because I've made a gate. So Lily can go in to her little fairy garden. I've got to put some grass, some of this false grass I think my missus wants putting down on there. So she couldn't have asked before, but hey ho. So there it is. I've just got to get like a little latch or something on there. But that's the gate all done. So that's it. That's the fairy garden and the paling fence all done and finished. If you like it, please subscribe and leave a comment. Do you do things different? Let me know. Thanks very much for watching.